Well, welcome everybody. This is the first event of Real Talk with Vince. So with the election going on nowadays, we're all out there trying to get as much information as possible about what's going on. So with the next few weeks with Real Talk, we'll be trying to talk to as many future candidates or politicians as we possibly can. And not just about policies, but about who they are, why they're running, what's up, why did they even do this in the first place? We're trying to give just a general respect of where people are at, or a perspective, I should say. As this is the first time with Real Talk, I'm trying to find my words, so please excuse me while I muck things around and make mistakes and generally get it out there for people to laugh at me. So feel free. I'm a duck, water will just run off my back. So feel free to go ahead and make your comments in the comments section. Tell me how I can improve, etc. and so on. So my first guest on this wonderful Anzac Day, as you can see at the top, we have Lest We Forget, because today is Anzac Day, the 25th of April. And fitting that we should start on this day, because it is, after all, the very thing that those guys fought for, which was our freedoms. So first up for us, we've actually got an independent candidate from Barker by the name of Ian Penno. Ian's decided to run in this election as a lower house representative, and in doing so has put his name forward. But like all of the independents, budget is one thing, having the money is another. Thirdly is even getting out through the mainstream media to get your word on what you're talking about and what you want to say. So with that, I would actually like to bring on Ian Penno, and we shall have just a general discussion and see what we can do. So welcome, Ian. How are you?
Good, thanks, Vince, and thanks for the opportunity. Good to have a bit of a chat and get out there.
Right, Ian, whereabouts are you from exactly?
I'm from a little place, Winky, in the Riverland, South Australia. Been there pretty well all my life, and lived it, breathed it, worked it. Sport, just got a really emotional attachment to the area and the Barker electorate, and just rural communities and that in general. I know how rural communities really work together, and it's a hard task out there, but we get by and enjoy it.
What's some of the things you've done in your life, Ian?
I left school. I actually joined the police force for 5 years, and then I ended up back with a family business, developing and growing a large citrus packing business, exporting citrus, developing vineyards and citrus. And then I went out by myself on a small property and got involved with the irrigation industry, large irrigation projects on the River Murray and through the Riverland, down as far as Swan Reach and all around the Riverland. And I've been doing that for the last 35 years, apart from further development of irrigation properties in the area. Been through a few good times, a lot of bad times with the citrus industry and the wine grape industry, and fighting a battle for reasonable sharing of the water at the moment to ensure our food supplies are maintained. So it's been 67 years in the Riverland, and I've really mixed it with the community, and shed the tears and had the laughs with them.
No problems. So, family? Do you have a family?
Family, wife and two daughters. Both the daughters working in Adelaide. Wife spent her years in the education system, so I've got a pretty good background on how that works also. So we were looking at retiring or semi-retiring. I don't think I could ever retire. I've got that work ethic which won't let me. But now of having a shot at politics, that's put on the back burner a bit. And if I'm successful, it'll be well and truly on the back burner, because it's going to be a huge job, huge task. And it's a big electorate and that. But manage it right, do it right, and get the community involved. It can take some of the pressure off if we all work together.
Yeah, and you're right about the big electorate. For those who aren't aware, the electorate starts from all the way down the bottom of the southeast at Mount Gambier, Port Macdonald area, and goes right up into the Berry area. So it's I can't remember the exact figures now, but it's an absolutely huge electorate travel. How are you going as far as getting around to the electorate?
Yeah, well, it's 62,500 square kilometres, so it's a bit of a ranch, and that's but no, I've been down to the southeast 3 times in the last 3 weeks. Heading down there again next week for a few days. A couple of forums to go to. It's interesting. It's hard. People are not interested in talking about politics, so getting a conversation going is a little bit difficult. Whether people are throwing their arms in the air about it and half given up, I don't know. And I don't like imposing on people or families out, doing their shopping. I went to the Lucendale Field Days and, walked around, but, there's families there and they don't enjoy themselves. They don't want to talk to some prospective politician. They're having a good day out. So, but just, I just stay in a few of the local pubs and just listen to what people are talking about. And that's where I'm getting my real feel for the community, the grassroots level. You can hear the pain and the hurt in their voices. And it's really good that they do get together and do talk about their issues and their problems, because we're all in the same boat. Some people might think some are doing well, but they're going through the pain also. So just to go into these areas and get the feel of what's going on is giving me a bit more of an insight into what I can do and the direction I take if I am successful.
Okay, so really interesting question. Why did you decide to run for politics?
For a long time, I've been involved in community. I've been on local government. I've been on the local health board. I've been on the Riverland Health Authority, and chairman of the Barmah Community Centre for 12 years. And that's always been community involved. But I seem to be in positions where you listen to, but you're not heard, or you can't get responses and proper correct responses for the answers to the questions you're putting out there. I started up a small group called Water Communities SA to try and get some sort of leverage, but it's still the same thing. That I've got a fairly large group that I email on a regular occurrence, mainly regarding the water issues. And I know there's people in higher places that are reading them, but there's never any response or contradiction to my commentary. And I've been told they're listening to my commentary and that, but get no responses. So I'm thinking of either go and retire and sit in the corner somewhere and do nothing, or throw my hat in the ring and have a go at really doing what I believe the community needs, and that's strong representation for the community, not representing a party or being a party puppet. I'm going to be a puppet for the community, and that's who I want to work with. I don't want to be dictated to by someone out of Canberra trying to tell me what to tell my community to do. They deserve better than that.
Okay, and I think what's about 220 odd thousand voters in the Barker area.
It's up around that number. Yeah, I haven't looked at it exactly, but there's quite a few people, and they should have a lot more strength in what they want and what they're looking for than what they have. But the government seem to, because it's such a large electorate, the government divides it into different regions. So that weakens our strength and our unity a bit. They call it the Southeast or the Mid-Murray or the Riverland or the Coorong. and they treat each area differently. So if we can work together and break that down, I believe we can be a very strong region and area, because the potential for Barker is huge. We're so diverse in what we can do and grow and produce that, and we're putting so much back into the Australia's economy, and we're not getting reward or recognition for our hard work. We've got the wine grape growing industries in all sorts of diabolical trouble, getting very little and very slow acknowledgement of that, or any resources to try and rectify that. We're in a serious drought, and there's farmers out there who, once again, the government is very slow in recognising that and helping them out. We're not looking for handouts. We're looking to be given an opportunity with a bit of help to survive what we're going through. And that, otherwise, we're just going to, the farming and primary producing industries of Australia are going to shut down, and then we're going to rely on imported food products. Then we're in real trouble. So we need some help, and that we've just, a flick of a switch, spent $2.4 billion on the Whyalla Iron Foundry. Whyalla deserves something there. I know it's a big industry. It keeps that city going. But there's some numbers coming out now. That's going to blow out well over $3 billion. And I wouldn't mind betting it gets near $4 billion on they finish. So they can flick a switch.
What do you mean by that? The iron industry section? That I'm not aware of that. Can you give us a bit more information?
The Whyalla Iron Foundry up there was put into receivership by the government, and then they put in $2.4 billion to pay out all the outstanding debts and get it back into a processing situation. But the auditors have gone in there, the administrators have gone in there and said that money's not going to be enough for them to finalise the job they've been put in there to do, and that's to get it going and keep it going. And that, so there's a lot more money got to go in there yet. So it'd be really nice to know the full story. But
sorry, we're talking about government here. Really?
Yeah, that's right. And that, so it's an industry that's very important to Australia, and I can see why we put some money into it. But there's new organisations, business coming in, and they can put in state-of-the-art new one for, well, they're stating $1.5 billion is the figures I've heard. So
is that, would a new foundry like that be an Australian-owned one, or are we talking about something that's probably going to come from overseas, owned by overseas?
It's made from in Italy. It's a company that specialises in these ones. Actually, the original foundry in Whyalla was built by these guys, but they've developed and improved their equipment, just like everything else has. So I think Whyalla was done 100 years ago. So it's the same company building the stuff, but just very, very modern. And that, right. They do a specialised steel there, so it's essential for Australia to maintain that, and we should have more of them. But the new company's talking about, as I said, $1.5–2 billion to build a new state-of-the-art one, and we're spending $3 billion on. I should be saying the numbers. That number of zeros is pretty hard to comprehend, but for the average Joe Blow on the street. But $3 billion plus when we can build a new one for $2 billion. But that's 18 months, 2 years down the track before that come online. But that's the sort of things we should be doing. Use our own iron ore to make our own iron and steel for what we need here in Australia. More industries, more manufacturing, more processing, and we're capable of doing it. We've got the technology, we've got the knowledge, and that. But we just seem to be persisting and feathering other countries' nests by importing it. I know they can be a bit cheaper, but the quality is nowhere near what we produce here. So we're going to have a real think about what we're doing.
Okay, so another thing is, I noticed that your email address specifically deals with water. So I gather you're very much into the water and the way water is used in South Australia. Would that be correct?
Very much so. They've turned it into a war between the environmentalist and the consumptive user, and that's where the issue lies. We're not going to resolve anything by the way we're going. My idea I put out there is that the water in Australia should be managed more like, especially the Murray-Darling Basin, should be managed someone like the Reserve Bank, totally independent of government, totally independent of states, totally independent of agendas, and they manage it best. It's more of a sharing arrangement, so that they work out who's in the most critical need for it. The environment is the most important thing for the man on the land and the irrigator. If we haven't got a good, clean environment, a good, clean river, we have not got a business. So it's in our own self-interest to make sure that river, the River Murray and the waterways of Australia are in very good condition, and they'll make the environment around them cleaner too. Our technology for irrigation is some of the best in the world, and our environmental practices, we're improving them all the time. It's not as though we're trying to get rid of or destroy our environment. We're about improving it, and the more we can do to improve it, you'll find the man on the land is the most common sense person to be advising on that, and we get no attention at all.
All right, so that raises a couple of other questions. Water licensing and water purchasing, where do you stand on that?
The worst thing we ever did was take water from the land and make it a commodity. That's one of the worst decisions we've ever made. But in the situation at the time, the beginning of the drought, it looks like this is going to be the best option. Because back before we did that, 65% of irrigation water, the water that was allocated for irrigation, 65% of that went down the River Murray and used by the environment. As soon as we turned it into a commodity, every little bit of that was sold to an irrigator or put out to the irrigators because there's a dollar value attached to it. Before we did that, there was no dollar value attached to it. As soon as we put a dollar value onto it, we put every litre we had spare onto the market to be leased out. So then that 65% that was going down the river disappeared. So that's one of the big mistakes we've made. And I think with what they're doing now is water buyback. Yep, buy the water back, but it goes into a like a reserve bank type situation, and it's shared between the environment and the irrigator, depending on who's in the most critical need for it. And whoever takes it has to pay a lease. There's a lease dollar value attached to it, but they'll be limited to a maximum amount so that it's for an irrigator to purchase it. It's a viable option for them is to lease that water. We had figures of up to over $1,200 a megalitre during the drought. Mm. The viable amount is somewhere around $300. So there's a lot of money borrowed at that time that's put growers and irrigators in really difficult situations at the moment. Leasing water at that amount to keep their crops going, keep food supplies going, that they couldn't really afford to do it. They was going backwards. So there's some major changes got to happen there, but it comes into constitutional things too, because the way that Murray-Darling Basin is set up. So changing the constitution, we know what that's like.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was just going to say, according to the constitution, as far as I understand, water is free for every Australian. Now, I probably agree that there needs to be limitations on what can be pulled out of the rivers, etc. But shouldn't that be just like you are licensed to do so much, and if you take more than that, you get fined? Otherwise, you're right to pump that many. Wouldn't that be a better option?
That's how it is at the moment. We've got a license to take a certain amount of water, and we've got an allocation. Some people have got a license.
Pay per litre as well on top of that.
Yes. The license. The license is there's different areas vary so much. It's a pretty complex situation at the moment. But I know my situation is the license to have water is.
Oh, looks like we
Since I
might
bought
have
the
had.
property license is take water. So, but then I had an allocation on top of that. So there are two separate things. You can have a license to take 100 megalitres of water, but you only might have an allocation of 10 megalitres. So if you need 100 megalitres, you've got to go out and lease in the other 90 megalitres. And the difficult part is that with all this water being taken away from the irrigator or the consumptive user, it's not just the irrigators, it's the whole consumptive user situation, is that pool of water is becoming smaller because it's being totally used by the environment, for environmental flows. And the rivers never look so good at the moment as it ever has. I've been there for 67 years, and the rivers never looked better. And that, so yes, there are fees involved, and that for buying licenses and transferring licenses. There's fees for and costs for the allocations and that sort of thing, but it varies in different states. It varies in different irrigation areas and that. So it's a pretty complex thing they've got going at the moment. And with that, but they call it the Murray-Darling Basin, with multiples of rules and that. So there's no consistency throughout the whole basin, and that's another issue. It's a real mess.
It sounds like it needs being cleaned up, but
it does.
All right. While we're still on the environment, where are you in relation to all the other green initiatives that are being put out in the market today for us people?
I've got a problem with the way they're going green. It's the way in which they're doing it. We're looking at having a pristine environment here, pristine climate, pristine air to breathe. But all the stuff we're bringing in from overseas comes from. We've seen it on the media lately with Indonesia. We know how the solar panels have been made in China. We know how the other minerals have been mined in other parts of the world. And what we're seeing and what we know is only a needle in a haystack compared to what is going on around the world, and we're not told about and we don't hear about. That's the real issue. Is we're bringing in these cheap materials made with dirty resources and minerals, when we've got all this in Australia ourselves. But we've even got some of these mines have started, but they've been shut down or they've closed down because they're not financially viable, competitive with these imports. And they're green, they're clean, minimal impact on the environment and humans, but they can't work because we continue bringing in these cheap products. Now, if you start with the cheap resource, you're going to end up with the cheap and nasty product, and that's what we're getting in Australia at the moment. The other thing is we keep talking about the operational life of the equipment we're using. And when you talk about operational life, that's when it's on your roof or it's spinning around in a paddock. It's great. It's cheap, and it's we say it's free, but no one is giving us a real story about getting it there, or what happens after its actual operational lifetime is finished. That's the stories I want to hear where we are, because I'm also getting information from United Nations, as a Department of the United Nations that doesn't like nuclear, and that all their figures show that nuclear is the safest and cleanest and greenest energy source we can use, and it's minimal harm. They also come in with new technology now where the spent rods are reused into a molten salt system that creates energy again and breaks the nuclear and the down a lot more, so it's a lot safer to store or hide or put away until we can find some way of disposing it properly again. So there's new technology coming through, and this has only happened in the last few years, this molten salt one that I understand. But this is what's happening, is we're not even allowed to talk about our greenest and cleanest fuel source or energy source, we never really talk about it, let alone even they haven't come up with prices because we're not allowed to talk about it. And the prices we're hearing from $200 million to $600 million. So why don't we sit down and talk about it? Why don't we sit down and talk about the new types of gas we've got, or the ways of burning gas that are a lot cleaner than what we are. The actual facts and figures are there. You can go on the internet and find whatever story you want to suit your argument, but got to find the ones that come from reliable, factual sources. And all these people believe so much in the United Nations. Well, I gather that's the obvious one we look at. And if someone's anti-nuclear coming up with positive figures for nuclear, they're not looking for stories to justify their agenda. So that's the sort of figures I'm working from. So we just got to broaden our outlook a bit. We've set an agenda which is destroying industries, destroying family businesses. Families can't afford to turn the heaters on. They can't, or the air conditioners on, and that. We're told we're going to get battery subsidies. Well, they're talking $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 subsidy for a battery. And if you want a battery to go off grid, you got to spend up to $50,000. Who's got $50,000 to spend on batteries just to save $4,000 that's going to get you off the grid? People haven't got that sort of money. So we've got to look at something which is cheaper, more reliable, sustainable, and it's there every time we flick the switch. We're not getting it. There's there's so much going on that I just think, where am I going to start if I'm successful in getting where I want to get to, and that. So it's going to be a huge task, and then we've got to convince the boys in Canberra. You got a newbie on the block that wants to rock the boat. So it's going to be fun and games.
Yes, well, I know you're going up against Tony Passon. He's been in this seat now for, I think, 4 terms. So
12 years he's been, yeah.
So that'll be very interesting. Now there's a Meet the Candidates event happening, I believe, this Monday in Murray Bridge. Are you attending that?
That's right. Yes, I'll be attending that. Yes, I had an online one, but I had a bit of an internet problem with a group. 1 million women the other night. That was interesting. Some good chatter there. That was an interesting forum. But no, this one Murray Bridge on Monday night will be another interesting, and it's a good way to get out and talk to people, because, as I was saying, people don't want to talk at the moment. But you go to a forum and they talk, they open up, and they might be there on a set question, but the questions vary so much, and everyone gets involved. So it's interesting.
Okay, now what about more the point? I know this is still on the political side, but I've got a banner scrolling across the bottom for anybody who's interested in looking at Ian's Facebook page. You can grab that link from there. You do have to request to join it. But how are you going as far as getting support for your campaign and volunteers, etc., like that? And how are you going about getting out in the media? More the point.
The media have been really good. They've been really helpful. I've made the effort to actually go to their office and talk to them and work things out, the ads and that. You can get a few letters to the editor in or profiles in, but the media's been very good. I'm an independent. I'm a one-man band. I'm getting a few people now putting their hands up, wanting to help me on election day and that sort of thing. So yeah, no, I'm a one-man band. There's no team involved. My wife edits and checks everything I write. So being a teacher, she checks out all that, and then financially, it's out of my pocket. There's no fundraising. There's no going out asking for donations or anything. And that I don't want to take money from any organisation because I don't want to be in their pocket. So I've kept it to myself and out of my own pocket. So it's very limited, like the other independents fighting the way in this election. We're very limited. We just got to get out there and try and tell our story. And having you guys come on board like you have is very much appreciated. And that so we can get out there too. But there's a real I'm finding that just the general chatter is they're looking for something different. We've got to do it differently, and that, as I said, the second being governed by representatives for Canberra and not representatives for the community, and that's what us independents are really looking at, is bring it back to the community.
Yep.
And councils are another big thing. Is if I'm successful, I'll be working very closely with them because they are the next closest thing to the community you can find, and their role, I hope, will change a bit. They'll work more together because they've been plastered with a lot more responsibilities, and haven't been given the funding to cover those responsibilities. It's just another way of taxing the public. Will load councils up, and they can put the council rates up. So what they're doing to councils is just really another tax grab for the government.
Okay. With everything that's going on, I mean, over the last 5 years or so, from when we got hit with the so-called pandemic, or plandemic, as I like to call it, how have you seen that effect on the communities that you live in, the results of that? Do you still think we're being affected by that?
It's hard. It's something we went through for the first time, and there's a lot of decisions made which we must be wrong. We must be.
Okay, a little drop out there. That can happen occasionally, unfortunately, people. Hopefully Ian will be back in a minute. So in the meantime, please try and get to Ian's Facebook page if he's there. And you will find it. It's Penno, Independent for Barker. It did take me a little bit to look it up. He does not have a website that's there, so you need to have a chat with him on those main pages. Get yourself invited. He'll accept that. You can ask him questions, etc., as it goes on. I'll just drop him off the screen for a minute. Hopefully you'll come back in on that link. I don't quite sure what's happened there. But generally speaking, we have our Independent for Barker. This is one of 10 that are running in the Barker area. I'm also hoping that I will get a chance to speak with some other candidates from around the place. And he's back. Yeah, okay, you're back again.
So, the internet, modern technology. But yeah, the pandemic. Yeah, it's a whole new ball. Everyone got their views. There's still some very strong views either way of whether we had the vaccination or whether we're not. I had the whole 5 jabs, mainly because I got an elderly mother in aged care and I wanted to keep seeing her. So that was one of my drivers to have the needle. Whether it's good for you or bad for you, I seem to come out the other side of it quite okay. I think there's no twitches or itches or anything going on. So, but it's like all these situations. People have got their own thoughts, and it should be their own their own thing. It's their own body, and they should have a right to treat it right. But then again, businesses had the obligation for occupational health and safety and risk management, and they had to make up their mind which way they went. And some people missed out on work or weren't allowed to go to work. But if
or got fired.
yeah. But if something had gone wrong in that business and it was a result of allowing people to come in with COVID and that, well, whose responsibility is it? So it's a really hard time, and I think it's affected a lot of people long term. But hopefully we've learned a lot from it, and that's what went on then is mostly a personal opinion to everyone, and what they think about the situation, what happened, and what they were forced to do. Living in Winky wasn't too bad. It's pretty isolated out there. There's not too many people nearby, and you go out my properties and that sort of stuff. And I was in mostly one of the industries that had to go out there for people relying on pump stations and filters and irrigation systems to keep their crops going. So I had no choice but to keep going out there. But I was, there again, I've been a one-man band for a number of years, and I didn't have to worry about employees or other people around me. And I'd go out in these properties, and you go out there, you'd isolate from the owner of the property, you'd talk to him on the phone and that, and if you want to come in closer, well, we maintained our distances of that, but we got, being in the country, I think we got away with it a bit easier than what the people in the city did. I don't know whether I would have handled living in a flat for that number of weeks and kept my sanity. So,
yes, us country folk like to wander a bit, don't we?
We do. We like our breeding place.
What sort of plans would you look at going forward? I mean, obviously, one of the things that happens with government is the lack of transparency. Some of the last 4 years indicates that. But putting that aside, what sort of plans would you be looking at to try and push for Barker region? What would you think is perhaps the two most important areas at this stage that need to have some attention?
I reckon the first thing I'd do is I talked about the importance of local council and the mayors, get the mayors together and really get a on ground idea and a focus and a business on where they think their communities need to be, and come to a consensus. But I believe Barker could be the food bowl of Australia. We're finding that all the normal basic food item businesses are around the main urban areas, and they've been pushed out by this urban sprawl. And we know here in Adelaide, Virginia and Two Wells and right out Roseworthy and Freeling, getting right out into these valuable farming crop areas and being pushed out, and that. But if you come to the Riverland, we can grow pretty well everything there. We're growing avocados, we're growing mangoes, and that. They're traditionally a tropical fruit, but we're growing them in the Riverland now. We've got a lot of the community going into the glasshouse type thing to grow tomatoes and capsicums and more the basic vegetable items. And so we're doing that in the Riverland, but we're getting handicapped there by our development rules, our state development rules, and what councils are allowed to approve and not approve, and that's a real mess. But I think we've really got to develop our food production. That's my real push, is that Australia's food supply is critical, and we have to maintain our own independence on our food growing. And that's but Barker's ideal is so diverse, from right down to the southeast, Port Macdonald, up along the Coorong and right through the Riverland. The climatic conditions, the soil conditions, and the ability to grow a whole variety of food items is just waiting there to be started. We got vast sheep, cattle, and cereal growing areas in there, and they're all important to us as a food item. They're important to our economy, and the wealth of Australia. So Barker's just a gold mine of a multitude of industries and manufacturing and processing and growing, and that's just waiting to happen. But we've had those opportunities taken away from us. We used to be a land of opportunity and a country of can-do. Opportunities are still there if you really want to look, but having the ability to can-do has been stopped by bureaucratic red and green tape, and that's what we've got to cut to allow the people on the land to do what they do best.
Brilliant. All right. I'm sure we could probably keep talking for hours, but the idea is not to have these things go too much longer than 45 minutes or so, hopefully.
Yeah. Just one more little thing that no one has spoken about at all, and that's aged care and retirement.
Yep.
The homestay scheme, the pensioner is battling anyway, but then he's got to pay out of his pocket a considerable amount for the homestay thing. There's still $4.2 billion sitting in that budget for this year that is unspent. And we've got pensioners battling to make ends meet, trying to live at home to save the government from being in a home. And there's $4.2 billion sitting there. That industry is $32.5 billion, I believe. And all the aged care organisations say that needs a total rewrite to make it work properly. And that's what governments aren't looking at. No one's mentioned aged care in this election. It's just being ignored. And they're the people that gave us the country we've got now. They're the ones that worked hard. They're the ones that we're celebrating today, the Anzacs and all the military people who go overseas. They've come back, they've worked hard, they've done the yards, and now they're being ignored. And that's criminal as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, very true. I was just about to say, is there anything else that you wanted to raise?
I've got to look at that one because I'm getting closer all the time to it, so I've got to really get that one going.
Yeah, you and me both. Well, that does raise one more. Education and where you think our education is in our current environment for our children, which is the next generation that's coming in. As you said, your wife was an educator. How do you and her feel about what education today is and whether it's good, bad, ugly, needs redoing, whatever?
Good. It's good, bad, ugly, going backwards. You mentioned all those words. She was the old school type teacher, and she got recognised for work she did and the kids she brought through. She was teaching
She can put her on if she wants to
grandchildren.
say hello.
Yeah, that's right. She didn't want to be involved. It was a great little school and that. So, but no, it's good. And just, one thing I picked up on a short while ago, we had a heap of the education hierarchy patting themselves on the back about bringing in the new maths, the way of teaching maths. We were doing it that way in 1970. And here they are patting themselves on the back about bringing this new method. And it's this way education's got to go. We've got to go back and look at some of the old systems, and especially the discipline systems we had nowadays. We're not even allowed to talk about them, let alone fulfill them. But some of our older systems are a lot better than what we've got today. Teachers are going to be psychologists, doctors, family advisory, everything. They're not teaching anymore. They're not teaching what they're supposed to be teaching. And I think we need to look at a few overseas countries with the way they're going to really have a good look at what we're doing here. There needs to be some major changes in the education system, because where we're going now, we're going backwards. The test we do every year, the benchmark's around 35%. Since when has 35% been a pass mark? It's never been a pass mark in my lifetime, but all of a sudden 35% is a pass mark. and all you have to do is turn up. There's no, the real world's not like that. You got to put an effort, and you got to achieve, and you got to get results. Otherwise, you don't get anywhere. You can't go out in the real world and just sit back and wait for things to happen. Those times are finished. We've been through that. It hadn't worked.
Yep, indeed. And critical thinking is one of the things they don't teach anymore, from just my personal opinion. But if you were right, we all know that people who are interested in voting for independents out there, please make sure that when you're doing your voting on the little green form, that you fill in every single box. Put your independents and your major voters that you want up on the top of your list in the numbers 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then make sure you fill out the rest, because it's a real shame when we have independents or smaller parties who don't get a vote because you don't bother filling in the Libs and Labors, because that immediately gets classed as a donkey vote in the lower house and gets thrown out. So please make sure you do that for Ian's sake and for anybody else who's running. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot, Ian. I'm going to give you about 15, 20 seconds or so. You can tell me when you're finished. But your plea, or not plea, but your message to everybody who's out there who's going to watch this program. So you're going to have the full screen for about 20 seconds, and you can give your message out to them, why they should vote for you and that sort of thing. Okay, how's that sound?
Yep, so I'll give it a go.
You give it a go? Everything that we're doing is 100% off the cuff. There is no edit. That we're not going to edit this. This is real talk. That means mistakes and all. So if you make a mistake, mate, don't worry about it. It's supposed to be there. Okay.
Easy. People ask me about my policy or platform, and all the way along it has been to take the challenge, make change. It's about me giving you opportunities to build your dreams, live your life, and that sort of thing. I'm not going to tell you what to do or how to do it. I want to know from you what you want and how what you need done to be able to achieve your goals. We've all got goals and dreams. Just let me know, and I'll do my best to help you fulfill them. We'll move some red and green tape out of the way, and we'll get back to some common sense, basic principles that can be achieved. No pipe dreams, no false promises, no backflips. I'm a person that's always worked hard and said, let's make shit happen. So here we go. Let's make shit happen. Give me a vote. Give me a vote, number one, and we'll see what we can do. And thanks for putting up with me.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ian, for being our first official guest on Real Talk with Vince. So I appreciate that for coming on and doing that.
Thanks, Vince. It's been great. I'm a big learning curve, all this, so I'm out there with everyone else.
Yep, along with most of us trying to comprehend what the heck's going on in this world today. You've got to be a lawyer, you've got to be an educationalist, you've got to be, and it's funny, I didn't sign up for any of that job, but anyway.
No. Right.
All right, Ian, thank you very much. I wish you the best in the up and coming election. It's great to talk to you and hear some of your philosophies as bits and pieces. Feel free to contact us at any time if you want to get another message out or whatever. We're happy to assist every politician. We're not holding particular reference to anybody. I mean, if Tony Passon wants to come and chat to me, which I'm pretty sure he won't, I'm happy to have him on board as well. But Ian, best of luck. Hopefully we will see you around. I might even catch up with you if I get a chance to go on Monday to the big meetup.
All right. Yep, it'll be good. Catch up then. And if I'm successful, you'll hear a lot from me, and we'll do a lot together.
It'll be my pleasure, mate. My pleasure.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. So that was Ian Penno. He is running as an independent for Barker, along with 9 other people in seats. So there's 10 in Barker that's actually happening at this stage. Carl did say to me, just remember, Vince, this is not a Bartra Central thing. So I am going to try and get other politicians from around the state onto the FBN Media. Hopefully, as we go, find out what's happening with Billy Bay, etc. But we're also going to be talking on Real Talk with Vince about other events that might be happening. Might be some tourist stuff. It could be even a piece of legislation that's going on or a new business that's starting up. So Real Talk is really about talking with people who have got issues, who have got ideas, who have got ways or something they want to do to help develop and get around this country. So with that, I'm going to leave you. And at this stage, because I don't have an ending video set up, I'm going to end with the starting video. Catch you all later. It looks like I said end recording is still recording. The fun, the joy. All right. Bye all.